about that time. What's happening in your city? Got love for your city? City Views. City Views. City Views. City Views. Oh, City Views. City Views. City Views. City Views. Oh, City Views. City Views. City Views. City Views. Oh, City Views. City Views. City Views. City Views. City Views. Oh, City Views. 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 And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we're back coming at you right here on your local access Altice Channel 5. It's another episode of CT Views. Here with my wonderful co-host, the one and only Coco, Coryse Villarouel. Good evening, Coryse.
Good evening, Jacque.
Long time no see.
I know, it's been a week.
Yeah, I know.
Well, actually, no, it was shorter than that. I saw you yesterday.
You did?
I actually tried to sleep the day away because of the snow. I said, you know what? I'm done with today. I'm
Yeah.
going to sleep, and hopefully when I wake up, this would be all a dream, right?
Right.
'Cause I couldn't believe it was snowing.
Well, I mean, we are living in the Northeast, so you can never tell what
to expect.
When I first moved to Connecticut, the first advice I was given was that if you don't like the weather, don't worry about it because
just take
it
a
will
nap.
change.
Take a nap, wake up, and it will change.
It will change.
But we are very excited. We have an exciting show. We have a special guest in studio with us today. We have Michael J. And Michael J. is a tech support specialist. And we are going to be learning a lot from Michael J. And other than Michael J., we do have two calling guests. We have Tracy Rowe, who's going to call in and talk to us about an event that's coming up. And we also have
Greg Sherrod.
Greg Sherrod.
Yep. So sit back, fasten your seatbelts, and get ready for the ride. In the meantime, we want to take this opportunity to give a big shout out and thank you to our sponsors for their support and generosity in helping us to bring you quality community television each and every week right here from your local cable access Altice Channel 5. I want to say thank you to Mel Brickman and Health Markets, located at 16 McDermott Ave, Suite number 1 in Torrington, Connecticut. Better call Mel. He can be reached at 860-307-1128 or at healthmarkets.com/local-health-INS. The Northwest Connecticut Area Chamber of Commerce, located at 59 Field Street, Suite 120 in Torrington. The Chamber is the place to be. They can be reached at 860-482-6586. And Dr. Michael Curry, located at 30 Peck Road, Suite 2105 in Torrington, Connecticut. Pediatric care for over 50 years. He can be reached at 860-482-8177 or at torringtonpediatrics.com. Once again, we want to thank our sponsors for their support. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, we want to get into this conversation with my main man sitting here to my left, Mr. Michael J. Michael, thank you so much for taking time out to come on the show today, man.
Thanks for having me.
We're excited about talking to you and getting down into this, man, because this is where it gets heavy.
It really is. And I'm going to start off with a brief bio on Michael J.
Thanks.
Michael J. is a technology consultant and educator who worked as an Emmy Award winning audio engineer and editor in Hollywood and New York. He has more recently taught tech courses at NYU, Rutgers, and over a dozen Connecticut institutions. He is the owner of Personal Tech Support, helping consumers with their Apple devices. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you.
I think it's interesting, as we were talking earlier, how the arts can be such a motivating factor to really delve into your passions to see just what it is your purpose-driven life is cut out to be. Talk to us about a little bit about your journey and the type of satisfaction that you get from doing that thing that drives you, wakes you up in the morning, makes you want to jump over a cliff if you have to get whatever you need to get done to reach that goal?
Interesting. I'd say the thing that makes me want to get up in the morning and actually jump somewhere is to jump to my stereo, turn on the stereo and turn on music. I've been mad for music my whole life.
Yes.
Since being a young child. My parents won a record player in a raffle.
Wow.
And went out and bought a bunch of albums for it, mostly classical and show tunes, plunked it down, and then no one else touched it, so it was left with me. And I started making my way through a lot of heavy music when I was like 5.
Wow.
So still love it, and a bit of a wannabe musician and composer. Still want to be, but worked in it and wanted to get close to it and find out how do they record it, what makes it sound good live or in the studio. And so I spent a lot of my life learning about that, working at it, and then enabling that for other artists. Broadway, music recording, and then for TV and film, and then as what's called a music editor for film. And so it taught me that you really have to be responsible for your own tech needs. You have to have spares. You have to make sure you understand everything yourself. It's like completely working without a net. And that's a good thing. And I was comfortable with tech since that early age. So I'm not trained in it. That's why I couldn't answer your question about nation state cyber, other than what I read on the news.
Don't feel bad. No one answers my question.
I could say whatever, but I'm not sure it would be an expert opinion. But I've learned to use this stuff, and so when I essentially semi-retired, left the city, came up to the country, and started this business because I'd already helped so many friends and family and neighbors with their personal tech, with the explosion of smartphones and so on. It felt like I may as well jump into that. And I still have my hand in the arts now and then. I'll be working on a film for a short period next month. But I have this business that helps people specifically solely with their Apple gear. Other than Wi-Fi, it's Apple only. But that's a big enough ocean to dive into.
For sure.
It really is. I still don't understand Apple.
Well, we've got a few hours to go over that. But
he knows us too well.
And the other zigzag in this life, from music to enabling others to working with computers and then wanting to help people with their consumer tech, is that now a huge part of my business is just helping people with scams or avoiding scams. And I say scams because people will say or they'll think I've been hacked. And I'll have to correct them that sadly they've been scammed or conned. And that's one of the biggest lessons I can give. But yeah, it's been and still is a lifetime in art. And that's what forced me to learn and become comfortable with technology. Whether it's in recording a 90-piece orchestra or helping someone understand iCloud.
That is such a unique pathway. It really is. But I've noticed that about many musicians and artists, that they evolve themselves into their musical endeavors, and then it just, by being in that space, they meet people and come into situations that either pique their curiosity on something else or compels them to do something that they've really wanted to do outside of the world of music. So I think that's really something that I think more and more people will kind of coalesce around, because once you can be indoctrinated into that artistic space, it gives you a different capacity. It gives you a different freedom to take those risks, to take those chances, because you know that although the world may not see your vision, you see that vision. And that artistic pursuit allows you, gives you the bricks and the mortar to put that together so that you can make your dream a reality.
I think that explains a lot, because driving force in my current business, from my perspective, is to want to help people,
Right.
to try and help
Right.
people, and try and teach people. Sometimes more than I think people would really want. Some people may even say they want to learn, but it's difficult, and they'll just want something fixed. But as with scams, the fixing really involves with them learning the issue and maybe changing their behavior. It's not like I can throw a switch and say there. It's
Right.
So.
Yeah. Now, so I know with a lot of artists and just people in general, they stumble upon a new career choice or a path that they decide to pursue because they themselves have fallen into that trap. Was that ever the case for you? Did you ever fall into a scam or see some issue with your tech throughout your musical journey that led you into now helping people prevent or to notice when they're being scammed?
No. No.
Okay. Good.
It was a complete surprise, and a surprise that I fell into this business, and then that it has now, so much of it has morphed into helping or dealing with scams. When I was first asked to help a customer who had let his guard down, and I think it would be helpful for the audience to hear what that typical scam is
Yes,
like.
please give us an example, a story.
But I'll get to that. So they went down the typical path, and they let the scammers share their computer, see it, share access to it. And so much of it involves online banking. And the scammers trying to, especially nowadays where everyone's doing online banking, to share the screen and get the person to log into their bank. Now they can get access to that, or just say, well, hey, while you're there, let's transfer this. And when I was asked to help someone who wanted to open a new account and regain online access, the bank wouldn't let them do that until someone with knowledge had really checked the whole computer. And it's a long checklist. And I did not feel comfortable doing that. And then I eased into it, and I saw several other cases where it was done. I learned enough about it to finally get comfortable.
Yeah.
At this point, to really do a forensic check and sign off to the bank, where some banks have asked me to sign a letter, is like a 5-hour
Really?
day of checking everything. Yeah, truly.
Wow.
So it's intimidating, and I want to make sure it's done correctly. But yeah, it's such a shame how people will let their guard down. It's not surprising. It's a shame, but not surprising given the sophistication of some of the messages that will trick you, that will say this is your bank or this is some company, whether it's an email or a text or a phone call.
I've gotten a couple texts saying, this is Bank of America, can you confirm XYZ, log in? And I'm like, is this really?
You've got a
Bank
couple.
of America should have your information.
Well, first of all, correct me if I'm right, but or if I'm wrong actually. Would your bank send you a text message asking you to confirm?
Well, yes. If you are in the midst of, say, doing a transaction outside of the country, you'll literally get a message saying, we see this activity, is it you? And I'd say, if they've said it's this exact amount in this country and well, that's you, you're standing there, go ahead and click yes if you want to make the payment go through.
Okay.
Amex just did that for me for a charge that came in months after a trip.
Oh.
But most of the time, the best advice is, if you're in doubt, ignore the message, ignore any information in it, such as a phone number to call, and call the number that that you already have in your records.
The one on the back of your card.
One on the back of your card. Pick that out and call that and say, did you call me? And you'll often find they'll say no. I'm curious to hear you say you've gotten a couple of messages like that, because I was going to say, in the last hour, because
No, not
often what many of us get are that many messages.
No, I've received really weird messages from weird phone numbers that you look at the number and you're like, this can't be from the bank, one. And then some of the other ones I've received is, I actually had a call from AT&T stating that they're going to give me, because I've been such a long-standing customer, they're going to give me a discount on my bill. They just need to verify a few things. And he's like, currently your bill is XYZ, and he knew the exact amount. And I was like, how does this man know
That's scary.
my exact bill amount? And then he said, and you have 3 lines, this one. And I'm like, okay. So, again, you start letting your guard down, and I start saying, okay. And then something in me said, when he got to the point where he's like, I just need you to log into your AT&T account.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'm driving. give me a minute. Let me get home.
But were you driving?
I was.
Okay.
And I actually took the street to get home and then decided, AT&T is literally 2 minutes away from me. Let's just drive straight to AT&T.
Wise.
With him
Good.
on the phone.
Oh.
And I kept him on the phone, and then I said, okay, I don't remember my login, but I'm at AT&T. Would you like to speak to them?
Click.
Yeah.
But let me mention one thing about something you said, that it came from a strange number, and they often do.
Yeah, it
but
was a
now,
very strange number.
But it's quite routine now. It's easy for scammers to spoof a number, spoof as it's called, so they can make it look like it's that exact number. If you have that number in your contacts, it'll say AT&T or it'll say Bank of America or a friend.
Wow.
So you really have to watch out.
Yeah. He hung up. Well, we got disconnected, and he called back, and all of a sudden it said, Simsbury Board of Ed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Simsbury Board of Ed? I thought this was supposed to be AT&T.
Oh, yeah. So he was calling from inside. Interesting.
Yeah.
Would you like me to go ahead and review a
Yes,
couple of the
please.
typical scenarios? Because I know we
I'd
don't
love
have
to hear.
too long, do we, actually?
Yeah. Well, yeah, we have another 10 minutes, but
good to
please
know.
give us some of the scenarios.
I'd say two of the main ones are phishing, which means you get the fake messages we've just been discussing, whether it's a text message or an email.
Mm-hmm.
And the other is stumbling into a bad link or bad site online.
Mm-hmm.
And that one's a bit more mysterious, or may have some surprising avenues, and I'm going to discuss that first. First, people should know that studies show that about 15% of search results from multiple search engines will be scams. There are scammers that they've got infrastructure in place to look at whatever someone is searching for, however strange or limited and specific a search may be, and they'll pay Google or any company to for ad space. Google's not administering it or checking it.
Wow.
And they'll say, oh yeah, we've got that exact thing you're looking for. However out it is. I had a client who was looking to recycle a very specific item, a client who was looking for a very specific type of sheet music, just using 2 classical instruments, a family member who was looking for knitting patterns, very specific knitting patterns. They did a search for that, and here it is. Often the first hit or the first organic one under the paid ad. So even if try this at home, go Google Amazon, and likely the first hit will be a paid ad from Amazon saying, yeah, we're Amazon, and it says ad. And the next one will be the organic result, meaning it's real, it's not paid for, and that will be Amazon, the true Amazon, AMAZON.com. And the one below that will be AMZN. You may remember me showing this in the lecture that you attended recently. And there it is, plain as day, right up top.
And you would think it's Amazon.
It's
just abbreviated, AMZN.
Yeah, but it's got a blurb that looks legit and helpful, like, oh yeah, we're here to help you. We've got things about Amazon. They can't claim they're Amazon. They probably could go ahead and do whatever. But if you click it, you're in trouble. And frankly, I didn't want to click on that one to see if it is, but I have a client who literally searched for Amazon, clicked on what came up, and it immediately popped up with trouble, and I'll explain what that trouble is. What happens is you've gone to a site that just wants to add some information to the computer, a small bit of information, which is called a cookie, if you know what that is, in your web browser, and that allows a pop-up window, if not a take over your entire screen, which usually says suddenly your computer is infected with viruses. And they'll hit you with all kinds of technical jargon that sounds legitimate. They use terms like virus and Trojan, gobbledygook. Percentages, the exact percentage of your hard drive that's compromised, and the number of minutes and seconds you have to act before it all goes poof. And so there's a time limit, which is meant to scare you. They're also reading this out loud. So if your sound is on your computer, this is sort of blaring at you. Your computer is infected with viruses, and you must act, and you must call this number. So many people do, and then what they do is kind of dazzle you, the person in this situation, by saying, let's share your screen, and they look around so they can move things and move the cursor, and it looks like, well, they are tech support. I couldn't do this. They're doing it. B, they have found things, so they're confirming there are viruses, and C, they're on my side. But then they hit you with, well, so you have to take care of this, we have to fix it, and you have to give us a 3-year service contract, and that costs. They previously did it with request for your routing number and bank account number, shifted to gift cards, and now it seems that as long as they're sharing your screen, they do want to get you to go online and get to your bank.
Log into your bank.
So be careful with searches, and be aware, think about it, if you know you want to go to the site Amazon.com or Apple.com or Chrysler.com, whatever, if you know the address, don't do a web search for it. Type in that actual address. If you need to look for the best restaurant in Litchfield, that's a search. You would want to do a web search and see the results and still be a little careful.
Right.
You almost can't be too careful, but at least avoid that if you can actually put in the address that is an address field as well as a search bar for the destination you want to go to. In addition, when you are looking at a website, a news site or whatever, be careful of ads and links. Even on Facebook, the links and the ads can be scams. Click it, you're in. One click and you're done on Facebook. These large companies are willing to sell space to virtually anyone and not oversee it. But the one time, to answer your question from long ago, that I got hit was about 10 years ago. 2014, 12 years ago at this point. Once and only once. I was reading a news aggregator that's a somewhat respected, known site. It had another article near the bottom that looked like, well, that's interesting, political news, like clickbait, right? I clicked on it. Took me to another legitimate looking site, so I didn't think too much of it. Read some things there and saw another post or ad and clicked that, and I got a pop-up window. So no harm, lesson learned, but watch out for surfing. I have circumscribed my own online activity to a great degree. As for phishing messages, again, I guess you can't be too careful. They can be made to look very real. You never want to click a link. Hopefully you've all heard this, but a family member recently got scammed where he got the text saying, well, this is FedEx. It was a little bit more complicated than just, we're trying to deliver. It said, we're trying to deliver something, but there's a balance due and it's COD, and the balance is just 50 cents, which made it look innocent and believable. And we're having trouble processing your card, so I guess they said, can you call us and help us out with a card? And they said, read us the number on the card so we can check it. And he read it, and they said, yeah, it won't go through. He'd just been using it that week, but he didn't think, because he thought he called them, which is how people their brains seem to get a little bit trapped by these scenarios. And gave them another card and yet another one. And as soon as you hang up, it seems like the whole dream goes poof and you come to your senses. But you know, the list that both of you are reading with some more positive suggestions about what you can do, above all, tighten up your banking if you are doing online banking. And I've helped people just in recent weeks who still don't have two-factor turned on. Two-factor is where, okay, I've signed in with my username or email address, my password, and it doesn't just let me in, it still says we want to check by sending yet another message, a second factor, to some device that you've registered with us, a known number or other device, whether it's text or even email or special code. And if you don't have that turned on, you can be hit like another family member who has all 3 bank accounts frozen at the moment.
Oh boy.
Far away, and is really in trouble because of that. That will cut down your risk by about 75%, according to the experts.
Okay, so two-factor
Turn on
authentication.
two-factor, right, and use a password manager. Some people seem intimidated by that. It may seem counterintuitive, like, why am I going to hand all my passwords to some company? There are a couple of large companies that do it that are respected, 1Password and LastPass. I use Apple and I trust them. Let's say I trust them to be the last company to be hacked on planet Earth, because they put a lot of resources into it, and I think they're the ones that want to be embarrassed the least. I'm not saying they're the best at cyber. I often find other companies discovering errors with Apple's products before Apple finds them or admits to them. But if it's still better than using the same password for multiple accounts, where if some small company gets compromised and has a breach, spammers or scammers will now try that password with your email at your bank or at more crucial things.
Yeah.
That's why you don't want to use short passwords, simple names, the name of your pet, or if you use that same name for your car, and that's posted online so people can see it.
And I get it. It's tough, you know, where in the day and age we live in, everything requires a password. The last thing someone wants to do is remember 100 different passwords.
Right. That's why you want to have your password manager.
Yeah.
Remember, Apple's now shifted in the last year or so to an app called Passwords. It makes it a lot easier to edit, to see. You still have to put in your device password to get into it, so there are like multiple layers. And it's encrypted. So if you store it in share it to iCloud, their cloud service, it's encrypted. But that allows you to have a long password for every company, a different password for every company. And above all, here's the biggest advantage, I should say, which is the best reason to use it. If it's early in the morning, you just woke up, you just turn on your device, maybe you're still a little tipsy. Not looking at you, just saying. Maybe one is. And you open an email, it says it's your bank and there's been unusual activity, sign in, and it says click this link to sign in. That's a mistake because the link could take you, in the same way they could fake the way the email looks, they could fake a simple website that looks like it's your bank. It's just one page. So you go there, there's the logo for Chase or Bank of America. If you're used to typing in your username and password, you're going to do that and you've handed it to the scammers. If you get used to using a password manager, you're always going to be in the habit of going to a site like that and as soon as you click in that field, it's going to pop up and say, why don't you let me do the work? And if you always do that, you could be fooled because you may not notice it's not chase.com, it's chose.com, and you didn't look. Or they use the @ symbol instead of the A, or an I instead of an L, things that are really tough to spot. The computer is going to go, no, not Chase. It's not going to be fooled. And it makes it a lot easier to just, especially on a device where you can use your fingerprint or your Face ID to say to your password manager, do it, and it saves a lot of trouble.
Wow.
So the best two things you can do.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Coryse, but
I know. When I attended the event that you spoke at a couple weeks ago, it was mind-blowing because you're like, I've seen this happen, and Google does have a great password manager, and you have to authenticate to get into your password manager.
Yep.
But I've seen it happen so many times. I don't know if anyone has ever seen the movie Beekeeper. Have you seen that?
No.
Oh my goodness, Jason Statham and Felicia Rashad. Exactly what you said. She was this retired person who was sat on the board of a nonprofit, and she took care of the financials for the nonprofit. Well, she got a phone call saying your computer. She's on the computer. She gets a message saying infected. She clicks on it. They call her. They say we need you're going to have to pay XYZ, and she's so scared. And so she logs in front of with them. They took control of her computer. She let them in, and she logs into the nonprofit's bank account, and a minute later, wiped out.
Yeah.
And she, sad to say, but she ended up killing herself, and Jason Statham tracked down this entire, scammers, operation. It was a total operation.
They are. It's sad that there are so many people willing to...
And they have big office buildings, and people don't know what they're doing.
And sometimes, in one that they just showed was rated in, I believe, Cambodia, Thailand, in the Far East. They saw that besides the rows of desks for people to be operators and scammers and speak to people by phone, and then the rows of servers of cell phones and computers to do the technical work, there were sets made to look like a police office.
Wow.
Or a security office like the local FBI or something.
Really?
Yeah, because they'll even do a Zoom call or do a video connection where they can say this is the police, and they'll show it.
Wow.
And people are flat out convinced. Especially if they know you have funds, they'll go to great lengths to be convincing. So don't let your guard down. I started that lecture by saying I was carnapped once. And I'll never forget, it was a good lesson, but the person who came over to me was wearing a three-piece suit and smiling. So, of course, he wanted to gain my trust. It's a con. No one's really getting hacked. If you're not a political activist, seriously, or an environmental activist worthy of being targeted by a nation state, don't overthink it. You're not being targeted. Scammers are sending out millions of messages, you know, en masse, all at once to millions of people, and they're just waiting to see
who's going to bite,
which of the 0.001% are going to bite. And that, if that's the case, 10,000 will bite, and if each of them coughs up $1,000 or $100,000. So I've helped people who've lost the better part of $100,000
Wow.
in a shot. Just keep your composure. Don't let the urgency stress you out. Don't let the verbiage, the bull, stress you out. If there's anyone you can call, if it's even a message from a person you know and it looks suspicious, call the person instead.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Michael, would you like to hang out with us for the rest of the show?
Love to, sure. Thank
Great.
you. Okay.
We want to take this opportunity to give another shout out to our sponsors at the bottom of the hour. We want to give a shout out to Mel Brickman and Health Markets, located at 16 McDermott Avenue, Suite Number 1, Torrington, Connecticut. Better call Mel. He can be reached at 860-496-7771 or at healthmarkets.com/local-health-ins. The Northwest Connecticut Area Chamber of Commerce, located at 59 Field Street, Suite 120 in Torrington, Connecticut. The Chamber is the place to be. They can be reached at 860-482-6586. And Dr. Michael Curry, located at 30 Peck Road, Suite 2105, Torrington, Connecticut. Pediatric care for over 50 years. He can be reached at 860-482-8177 or at torringtonpediatrics.com. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe we have Tracy Rowe on the line with some deets for us about a big event that she's got coming up.
Hello, Tracy.
Hey, Coryse, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
All right. Well, you're live with us here now. So welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, Tracy.
Hey, Jacque.
How are you?
I'm good.
Did you vote today?
I did.
Good for you.
Not going to tell you how.
Do we know that this is really Tracy?
Tracy, we've got our security person speaker here, our guest, and now he's making us very uneasy with phone calls and everyone. Tracy, is that really you? Tell us. You got to give us I don't know, give us something that really makes us believe it's you.
I thought I already proved that.
No, that's not enough. Okay, let me see. What animal do you have?
A teddy bear. No, I have a cat.
Okay, there. Okay, so I'm just going to go with that. I know it's Tracy. She's got a cat. Okay.
Thanks for playing.
Thanks for playing along, Tracy.
Yeah. Well, you should always be secure.
Yeah, you really need to be these days. Yeah.
So, Trace, what's going on?
So I'm calling to talk about an event that a group of friends and I are putting together in May. My friends Deborah Brown and Sharon Wagner and I are organizing a concert for peace. And it's going to be held at Co Park on May 2nd from 12 to 4. And right now we're looking for singers, like local area musicians in Torrington or, Harwinton, Winstead, wherever, who would like to sing protest songs. Think Imagine, think Change is Gonna Come, Blowing in the Wind, that kind of thing.
Think One Love by Bob Marley?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And also we're going to be doing some choral pieces from the Singing Resistance playbook or music book. And we're looking for people who want to be part of a choir.
And who should they contact for this to be able to do this?
They can contact me, and I'm going to give you my email address for the group, and I'll do it slowly because it's long.
Oh, okay.
And it's NWCTTakeAction, Northwestern, NY, yeah, okay, I'm going to try that again. NWCTTakeAction@gmail.com.
Okay, NWCTTakeAction@gmail.com.
Yes.
Okay, we'll also have that up on our Facebook pages as well.
And we also have a Facebook page under Northwest CT Take Action, so they can also reach us through there. And that's about it for reaching me.
Okay, so tell our audience the date for the event again, and when would you want people to contact you or reach out to you by?
By the end of this week.
Okay.
We do have some singers already, but it's always nice to have more people who want to lift up their voices. So anybody is welcome. What we do ask is anybody who volunteers send to us a clip of them singing so we can hear their voices, and let us know, do they have songs they already know and want to sing, or do we have to help them find a song, and if they need to rehearse.
How many songs are each artist going to be prepared to do?
We're asking people to prepare 3 songs just in case.
Yeah.
We may pare it down to 2, but it's always better to be over-prepared than under-prepared.
True, for sure.
Yep. And the date, give us the date and the time of the event again.
So it's May 2nd, 12 to 4 p.m. at Co Park.
In Torrington. Okay. All right, Tracy, thank you so much. Hopefully you get a lot of great singers and artists out there reaching out to you. And we'll make sure we mention that on the Facebook page and our website as well.
And thank you guys for having me call in.
And if you want to follow up as we get closer to the date, then let's arrange where we can do some updates before the show.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right. Talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you for doing that.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I was going to ask if she trusts her cat, but I...
She trusts her cat.
Yeah.
You know, my mom actually had something similar to verifying. She received a text message from my nephew, her grandson, her first grandson, saying, "I'm in trouble, I need help. Please, can you send me such and such money?" And my mom, very cool, said, "Sure, hold on, let me give you a call."
Yeah.
And called
Wow, very
my
cool.
nephew.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What? That's what? I didn't call you. I didn't text you."
It was very cool of her, because most people, I don't know if in that situation if I would do anything other than like
send it right away,
or freak out, because you don't notice at the beginning. You've skipped over it. You just assume, oh, it's him and he's in trouble.
Yeah, well, and what they did was they said, "I lost my phone, so I'm using someone else's phone."
Wow.
So now that gives you confidence to believe, when you notice that it's not his phone number, you're like, oh, okay, so he is using someone's phone.
And well, wait, it doesn't sound like you. And he'll say, "Yeah, I was in an accident." And so sedated.
I have a cold.
Yeah. And sometimes they'll say, well, Billy, is that you? And he hasn't said his name, and now the scammer knows, oh, it's Billy.
Oh, it's Billy, yes. Yes, I am Billy.
Yeah, but most people would skip over, their brain would skip over the part that he didn't say his name, and I just assume when he said it's me that it was him. But if you play it back later in your mind.
And then you were the one who gave the name.
Yeah. If you want to take some more time, I could describe another classic scam.
We have a few minutes. We have about 4 minutes before our next caller. Please tell us about another story situation.
I used to look like I smiled a lot more, and this is me smiling these days, people. That's what you get. No, it's always been like this. Just but so just a couple of months ago, a person I'd helped before who'd actually been scammed before, as with many of us, was getting emails every day from Norton, the company. And after this, if I have time, I'll tell you Friday's story about the person who lost money to McAfee, but it wasn't McAfee. So these companies are so aggressive, and they send an email every day. And one of the things in this long list I've given here, and it is a long list, is If you want to cut down on the chance of being phished, stop getting 500 to 1,000 emails a day. Think of them as someone like throwing paper at your face. Well, it's hard to see when someone's throwing a knife instead of just an envelope if you're getting 1 or 2 every minute. I get 5 or 10 emails a day at most on a bad day.
How do you cut down on?
Unsubscribe.
Unsubscribe.
Okay.
I just, after that
Good.
event with you, I went home and I sat there, and in my Gmail, unsubscribe. And I find that once you subscribe to one like political action email
You're done.
thing, oh my
right.
gosh, it's like they share it and you get all these political actions. And
Okay.
They do. But regardless of the sharing, any one campaign you give money to or sign up for or even visit, and any company you buy at, you go to Home Depot, you go to even your local salon, they'll put you on their list and they'll hit you with an email every single day at this point, and sometimes twice a day.
yeah.
Buy something once, and I'm not having it, especially because I do want to keep that inbox really clear so I can see what's coming. My go-to example that you heard at the lecture was if Lincoln came back and ran for office, I'd send a donation to his campaign, and then the next morning when the first email came in, I don't care if he personally said, "This is Abraham," I'm unsubscribing him. I'll reach out to him, but it's that important to me.
Yeah.
And to just not get, literally junk that I don't want in my life.
So do you recommend that people have their main email and then just an email that spam goes to or junk goes to?
If you still have to check it enough, you still need to avoid signing up and unsubscribe mercilessly. Just mercilessly, all caps is how I do it. But I do have a junk email address. I think I mentioned that to you people, named after Monty Python's routine about spam. And when I go to a place like a car dealer that will not talk to me unless I give them an email first, I say, fine, here's the email. And then, when I get home and I see I've already got 20 emails from battery dealers, car batteries, I know, thanks.
Unsubscribe.
So like all of us, this person was getting every day an email from Norton. And they're aggressive, like, you've got viruses. That's the message you might see if you don't pay for our upgraded service. It's pretty crummy. Norton may not be quite that aggressive or bad, but they send an email every day. And one day, after wishing that one of these emails had a way to reach the company or published a phone number, which they make difficult to find, she got an email saying, "We've successfully reprocessed a charge for your subscription for $400. So she had the money to not worry too much about the $400. But the gold was that email said, "Oh, if you have a problem with this, here's our number." She was like, "I have Norton's number." So she called the number. "Don't do this." She called, and they were very happy to hear from them. They said, "Of course we'll reimburse you.
Yeah.
Let's share your screen." That if anyone asks to share your screen, even if you've called them, unless it's Apple tech support and you've called 800 Apple Care, or you've called me and it's like me and I can send a share screen request. Don't. So they asked to share her screen, which should have been alarm bells. And the reason they did it is this, because it was a complicated con. They said they let her watch while they reimbursed her. And she saw and tried to stop them as they apparently made a mistake by putting in 400 for the $400 charge, and then the next 2 zeros, but leaving off the decimal point. So that it looked like that rather than reimbursing her $400, it was $40,000. She told me the next day when I was clearing this up that she was like yelling at them, "Wait, don't you see what you're doing?" And they did it. But of course that was the con. And they acted like they didn't hear her, and they said, "Well, let us try it again." Did it again. Same thing. She said she was screaming again at this point. So then they got to say, and here's the scam. "Well, you're right, our system must be broken, but now you owe us $80,000. And because I'm going to interrupt myself because the next sentence is going to sound so unbelievable and silly, but because she subscribed to Norton, she gets these daily emails from Norton, she's the one who saw Norton and called Norton, there's nothing in her mind to say this isn't Norton. So when they said, "Why don't you go to the bank and pull out $80,000 and we'll pick it up from you," nothing in her mind made that seem silly.
Wow.
And she did. Another client who did the web search for recycling got the pop-up window, called the number. They said, let's share your screen. And because I've put them off online banking, they were thwarted. And so they pivoted and they said, actually, we can see that in your small town, the teller is stealing people's money. We've been tracking this case. As if like now they put on their CIA hat or Secret Service hat. And you need to go to the bank and take out all your money immediately or it's going to be gone.
Because of this one teller.
And he did. He went to the bank, really small bank, small town, and they knew him, so they knew it was a scam, and they wouldn't let him. He went back and called again, and they said, we'll go to a different branch, which he did in a different town. I'm leaving some identifiers out of this stuff so that just to protect clients and innocent. But he did that, and he called a third time, and when they said go to a third branch, finally, that's the dream went poof moment, but that's what it took to break out of it. Yeah.
Wow.
It's so they easily scam you. I mean, I've received emails saying that my late cousin, 10 times removed, left me $1 million in his will. I need to call.
Really? You're buying tonight.
I need to call such and such to, get to, because I'm the only relative that they found. I need to call. And I read these and I'm like, and you want to read it and you want to say, no one's stupid to fall for this. But you bite your words because it's not that anyone's stupid to fall for it. It's they do things in such a believable manner that people do fall for it.
Absolutely.
It has nothing to do with being stupid.
No.
Right.
Also, if you had just made some transaction, I mean, I get text messages, oh, your Wells Fargo account. I don't have Wells Fargo, so it's easy to dismiss it.
Yeah.
If I did and I just made a transaction, if I was the one of the 10,000 people out of the million they sent it to, 10,000 Wells Fargo customers, 100 of them just did a transaction, you might think, oh, that was me, or if it's a really great-looking, well-done email. So as I said, on Friday I called an old friend in LA and asked about their spouse, and they said, really hurting because he just got scammed and there's a lot of emotional fallout from it. He lost $15,000, but it was a McAfee email.
Oh, no.
So he used to getting McAfee, he saw it, he assumed it was legit. I didn't even have to ask, I'm sure it was the same thing. We processed your payment. So watch out for that. Watch out for anything that looks like, if it looks like it's the company but then it goes south, like why are they processing $400 for something that should cost $10 a month or $100 a year? Why are they saying to share my screen? Then think to yourself.
Yeah. In the movie Beekeeper, that's why Felicia Rashad had to share her screen and log in because they said she's like, wait a minute, you sent me more than what you.
Oh wow, interesting.
Yeah,
oh,
you sent me more, right?
I didn't know that was a thing.
And they were like, no. They said she sent more. And she goes, oh, I thought I only sent you the $400 for this virus whatever removal. And they're like, no, you sent too much. We're going to get in trouble. Let me just log into your bank so I can send it back.
Yeah.
And she went ahead and did so. But
wow.
Yeah.
Now, just how frequent are these claims?
Claims.
The fraud claims. I mean, just how many people are
scams?
Yeah.
This is an epidemic right now. Don't take it from me. As I said, I didn't get into this business of helping people with their tech, thinking I would ever be signing off to banks about the trustworthiness of a computer now following a scam, ever. Take it from the local police. My previous state trooper, where I live in Kent, the current state trooper, when I met her to partner with this recent lecture, the Washington State Police were profiled in the local Washington newspaper, an online paper, last week. And it's a nice article, I know because someone sent it to me, and on the front page, on the third column, it talks about how so much of their work is scams. Wow. My current resident trooper, when I met her to say hello and coordinate for the lecture, I walked in and by way of hello she said, I can't stand it because half of all my calls and my work are scams.
Wow.
And again, building up to this this left turn in my career, I've lectured at my library, but it's always on iCloud or the best way to use your iPad or you know, how to organize your files. But the library started asking me 5-6 years ago to give a lecture on security because so many people were having that issue. So already it was a thing. And I declined because I didn't know enough. I declined again yearly until about 3 years ago when I had done enough of this, just from garden variety experience, seeing what happens and helping people, that I said, sure, I can speak about these things from experience and the real world steps you can take to try and prevent it or curtail it if you're in the midst of being scammed.
Right.
I didn't realize the director of the library especially wanted to hold that lecture, which was well attended by our town and the patrons, because, and it's not a secret, but her own family member had been scammed and been sent scurrying from big box store to big box store to get gift cards. Those stores know it too. Many of them put up their own signs saying, look, if you're coming here for tons of gift cards, it's because you're being scammed. But people are like, they're hypnotized and it's hard to convince them. So I mentioned that amount, $60,000 or $80,000, to the trooper as if this was a big deal. And he said, there isn't a month that a person in Kent alone isn't scammed out of $500,000.
Wow.
There are only a couple of thousand adults in Kent. I think the total population is 3,000. Yeah, this is an epidemic, just getting worse. It's crazy.
Might we want to consider going into another business, Coryse?
My goodness.
It seems pretty profitable to me.
You're going to wind up smiling the way I smile. You know what?
It is crazy. It's you know, years ago it started off with the postal office scams. And the postal office had up on their website certain scams. The Nigerian scam, the Ghana scam, the this scam, the that scam. They
Nigerian call was a scam?
Yeah.
Oh.
They had certain names for these scams, but it's gotten worse.
Yeah.
And with technology and now with AI, they easily fake, like they even have videos that looks like it's your favorite celebrity saying, buy this. And there's no way for these celebrities to track if it is them, like to track that someone else is using.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I thought we were
Well,
supposed to have a caller. I don't see a
ye-
call. Doug, do we have another caller? No one called in yet.
I can spoof a call.
Unfortunately, we were expecting to hear from Greg Sherrod so he could fill us in about the fundraising concert that's going to be taking place at Infinity Hall for United Way Northwest. Possibly, we can see if we can get him back on the show next week. The concert is April 11th, so hopefully we'll have a little more additional time to get that out to you. But in the meantime, it's about that time, and we're going to do our shout-outs. And we want to recognize in our shout-outs Dawn's Getaway, located at 24 Winstead Road, Torrington, Connecticut. Christie's Restaurant, located at 545 Winstead Road in Torrington, Connecticut. Health Insurance Services, located at 438 Main Street, Torrington, Connecticut. Wall and Fraunhofer, located at 117 Main Street, Torrington, Connecticut. Soul Latina Cafe, located at 31 Hungerford Street, Torrington, Connecticut. Jimmy's Store, located at 1238 East Main Street, Torrington, Connecticut. 5 Points Art Center, located at 855 University Drive, Torrington, Connecticut. And last, but certainly not least, George's Music, located at 905 New Harrington Road in Torrington, Connecticut. And Michael, thank you so much for coming on to the show today.
Yeah, please tell us how should someone reach out to you if they'd like to utilize your services?
Sure. Well, the company is named Personal Tech Support. The website is, strangely, personaltechsupport.com, spelled just like it sounds.
Put it in the address field, people.
Yeah, don't do a search. In fact, it's a little difficult to find. Many companies use that phrase. It's a good example of, thank you if you were listening. It's like addressing an envelope. If you know who you want to send it to, use their name, use the street. You don't just say, this person looks like that in this town, get it close to them. not if there were scammers that would take advantage of that. The website's personaltechsupport.com, and the phone number, toll-free number, is 833-411-TECH, which is 833-411-8324. If I could take a minute to maybe leave a more positive message here about both not only protecting yourself from scams, but using consumer technology. What I find, especially with more senior people, is that it's sometimes a non-starter because they assume they're not capable of it, that they need a degree. I don't have a degree. I'm certainly not an IT person. That they need to know code, or that they'll fail, and they don't try. And learning about these things, looking at your device on your own and just taking time with it, having fun with it, looking through it, you can learn it. You can learn about iCloud. You can learn about your password manager, even if you have to involve a friend or a family member. But not that hard. It may sound insurmountable, and it's not. It's very doable.
Great.
Okay.
And before we leave the air this evening, one last final shout out to our sponsors for their support and generosity. We want to thank Mel Brickman and Health Markets, located at 16 McDermott Ave.
What's that to do with us?
Suite 1, Torrington, Connecticut. Better call Mel. You can be reached at 860-307-1128 or at healthmarkets.com/local-health-ins. The Northwest Connecticut Area Chamber of Commerce, located at 59 Field Street, Suite 120, Torrington, Connecticut. The Chamber is the place to be. They can be reached at 860-482-6586. And Dr. Michael Curry, located at 30 Peck Road, Suite 2105 in Torrington, Connecticut. Pediatric care for over 50 years. He can be reached at 860-482-8177 or at torringtonpediatrics.com. Thank you once again for tuning in to another episode of CT Views. We're coming back at you next week. Who's on the show next week?
I don't remember. I can't remember right now.
Check out our Facebook page so that you can see who's going to be
Nicole,
on the
who's
show
on next week?
for the next week. Nicole?
I don't know.
Oh, Nicole don't know either. But we're going to have somebody here. It'll be fun. It'll be interesting, okay?
Yes, stay tuned.
So we want to thank Michael once again. We want to thank
Thank
Tracy for calling in. We want to thank Nicole for coming in.
She's like, why am I here?
We love y'all.
Exactly.
Have a good one. Good night.
Bye now.